Took out the shield guy. At least I was taken out by another Nerf guy. I respect that more than a grenade.
What's up, Nerfers? Today I'm holding the most authentic, closest looking blaster to what you'd imagine when you think of the word Nerf Sniper. It certainly has the looks down pat with an amazing looking buttstock that continues all the way through to a nice long forestock. It has low capacity magazines that hold 10 shots or 5 shots as well. There's another option for those. It has a bolt action, so it has the feel of what a real sniper would be like with a rotating bolt mechanism. And it has accuracy on point as well, with a built-in bearing rifling for adding spin to your darts for increased precision. This is the Py Tusk by ADIcrafts. Let's get into it. The Py Tusk is a Mr. Heathpants piston in grip derivative, similar to the Smiley and the Pyretusk. So this can achieve similar power to those blasters. They can achieve similar power to this. They all have an 85cc plunger volume and take similar springs. Although instead of the default 200 FPS spring, I've actually given this one a bit of an upgrade today. More on that in a bit. Now, for a full disclosure, this was sent to me for free for review thanks to Phantom Toys here in Australia. Phantom Toys will have this in stock in about a month's time. We're looking at the end of May, so you do have a little bit of time to wait for this one. Although I will put a link down below to the Smiley and the Pyretusk that have similar kind of power to this thing if you do want something in the meantime. Now, if you can't tell on camera due to the high quality craftsmanship of this blaster, it is actually 3D printed. By nature of being 3D printed, there are a lot of customizable options. You can even print at home to change this thing up. There's different stocks, there's different front ends, there's different riflings, different Picatinny rails. The whole thing essentially is fully customizable with parts you can buy from Phantom Toys or print them yourself at home. Now, to touch on that high quality craftsmanship, not only does it have a very smooth finish to it, it's also incredibly rigid. It's held together very well. There's essentially no movement to the thing at all. It is like feeling one solid injection molded blaster, although it is 3D printed. Now, out of the box, this thing comes as a shell ejecting blaster for a bit more realism, but being the shell hater that I am, unless they serve a purpose, I opted for the shellless version. It's a simple, quick swap thing. You put in the breech there to change it out and convert it. So mine just takes darts directly now. You can see straight in the magazine there, no shells at all. The shell version uses double stack magazines as well as stripper clips to reload it. So it is pretty cool if you do like a realistic feeling blaster. But for something practical, I'll always opt for the darts themselves. Now, in the box with this blaster, ADIcrafts included a straight pull bolt similar to the Swiss K31, which he really loves. He wanted me to use it, but I put the vote out to you guys. Which one looks cooler? A rotating bolt or a straight pull one? You guys unanimously voted for the rotating bolt, so that's what I've got on here, but it's incredibly quick to change. You just unscrew a bolt at the back there, pull it out, put your new bolt in. From a practical standpoint, the straight pull is probably a little more practical, but the rotating bolt, you just can't go past it for the cool factor. Now, so far, I've only spoken about positives of the blaster. I did have one negative putting this thing together. So the outer shroud of the barrel is printed in segments, and they're meant to align correctly so that your sight is on top of the blaster. I've found that if I tighten them fully, that actually tilts off to the side a little bit. So what I ended up doing is putting a little bit of thread tape in there so it would go tight, but it still aligns with the top. So it's not actually fully tightened. There's a tiny little bit of a gap there, which you can barely even see. You can see my yellow thread tape in there if you look very closely. But that resulted in having the iron sight on top for the best realistic look. Rather than having it tilt off to the side. There are little triangles to align to make sure you're getting it straight. So it's very easy to put together, just that the threads weren't lining up properly for me. Now, taking an even closer look at the outer shroud here, you've got an integrated 12 bearing B-car rifling. This gives us much needed spin as the darts leave the barrel, stabilizing their flight path towards your target. I really like that it's integrated into the outer shroud, so you can show people that it does have stabilization, but it's not immediately obvious that it detracts from the look of the blaster. And completely hidden inside of the outer shroud is a 400mm aluminium barrel. I won't be undoing this to show you that today because it is a pain in the butt to get it aligned again with my thread tape, but just trust me, there is an aluminium barrel that ends about there inside of the actual outer barrel. Now the magazine can be ejected with ambidextrous side releases that's kind of spring assisted, helps push it straight out of there. Or you can use a paddle mag release at the bottom there if you prefer. Now taking a look inside the mag well, you can see there's two massive flat bars that go straight through it for the rigidity of the blaster. Unfortunately, that is a design choice that doesn't allow any other type of mag to fit between those. If you try to work a magazine, for example, they are too wide on the mag lips to fit between those two bars. So ADIcrafts designed their own proprietary magazines for this blaster, which honestly, they do look really cool. They have a 10 dart version and a 5 dart version. So if you do like more of a realistic feel, I think that's where the Py Tusk stands out. But if you want a more practical magazine from Worker, that's where you choose the Smiley from Out of Darts instead. Now to quickly touch on the magazines themselves, they do feature the latest technology in mag followers using a drum spring similar to ZWQ mags. Puts less squish on the darts themselves and allows the darts to have a constant pressure applied to them no matter how many you have left in the magazine. They're also quite rigid for a 3D printed magazine. I'd be comfortable leaving these on the ground as I move around the field. I do think if someone steps on this, it'll most likely survive. It's quite a thick plastic they've printed it in. And importantly, it fits longer 38mm darts like saber darts, which I'll be using for the accuracy test today. Now to touch on the prime of the blaster, even with my massively heavy upgrade spring installed, it's still quite a light prime. There's a tiny bit of a scratchy sound to it as 3D printed plastic rubs on 3D printed plastic. You'd expect that in any printed blaster, although it's nowhere near as bad of an offender as some of my other bolt actions I've tried in the past. As for durability with my mysterious upgrade spring, there is a metal core to the bolt, so there's no risk of it snapping. That is one of the most durable parts of the blaster itself. Now above the trigger there is a mechanical safety. Black means safe, red means danger, same as a real firearm. There's also a little tiny S and a little tiny F on there, so safe and fire, if you don't remember the colors. I think red is universally a danger color, so if you see red, it means it's ready to go. Now the trigger pull itself with my upgrade spring does feel a little heavier. I'd say it's still about a medium weight though. It's not too heavy, just a little noticeably heavier than the stock config. Now, let's finally discuss that spring. This blaster has a quick swap spring access at the bottom there. You just remove that pin and out comes the spring. I have put a 2.2mm Kirin spring into this one. So that one you can buy online from anyone who sells the Kirin. I did have to cut one spring coil off of it to make it fit. So if you have a Pyretusk, Tusk, or a Smiley from Out of Darts, perhaps give that spring a go if you want to get a little bit more power out of your blaster. But just be aware you might have to remove one coil or so to allow it to prime. Up the back, the Pyretusk has a nice little bit of a curve to the buttstock there. Sits nicely into your shoulder with little grip ridges as well. There's a sling loop on the bottom, but one more very nice feature to have that most people might not even notice is that the Picatinny rail isn't exactly flat. Has a little bit of a forward angle to it, allowing me to use a magnified sight from Novridge here without having to max out the zero to the bottom. I'm able to keep it in a nice central position because the actual rail itself is what's tilting it down to allow for the arc of Nerf shots. There are other options for the rail as well. You can get an iron sight if you like making the wrong decisions in life. There's also just a flat Picatinny rail if you have like a red dot you'd rather use or something instead. Overall, I'm quite impressed with all the features ADIcrafts managed to cram into this thing. I think I've covered all of them, but if there's anything else you'd like to know, just let me know in the comment section down below. Because now I would like to move on to the testing. Okay guys, for the velocity test today, I'm just using standard 1 gram darts. Keep in mind as well that any other MHP piston and grip blaster will be able to do similar FPS to this, assuming you have a Kirin 2.2 spring and a 40cm barrel. 268. 264, 267, 266, 315. That's a bit of a hot shot. 299, 267, 263, 270. The actual magazine has a bolt stop as well. It's good to know when you're out. $269, nice. 274, 269, 275, 272. I reckon the 300 and the 299 shots were probably misreadings. We'll keep it around that 270.
Over the chrono, treating the 299 and 315 shots as misreads due to the partial shade covering the back of the chrono there. Pyretusk shot a high of 275, low of 263, average of 268, with a very consistent standard deviation of only 3.6. That would explain why it was so precise in the gameplay footage you saw at the start there. But let's find out just how accurate it truly is in a real-world accuracy test.
Okay guys, 30 meter or 100 foot accuracy test time. I do want to point out that the angled Picatinny rail on this is so freaking cool. I'm able to aim straight at the center of the target with this thing and it's doing all the holdover for me, even with a magnified sight. Generally on other Nerf blasters with flat Picatinny rails, at that kind of range you do need to add holdover, especially with magnified sights. Now, I am using Saber tournament darts for the accuracy test. They do go a little bit further, so that is allowing me to have that flat trajectory. Let's see how they do. I've got 10 in this one, 5 in that mag, for a total of 15 shots. Just high and left of the cross in the middle of the target there. Similar kind of spot there. Might need to adjust my zero after this. Oh no, it's going a little more to the right, so I think we are bang on with the zero. Just has a little bit of a larger dispersion. I'm pretty happy with that for the gameplay in about an hour's time. Actually on the line now. Not only is this a sniper in feel and looks, but it's delivering the hits as well, especially with these Saber tournament darts that it's paired with. If you want to get these darts, I always put links to them down below. Definitely worth it in my opinion. All right, that's the first 10 down. We've got another 5 in this mag. Let's continue on. A little high and left, that's shut. Back to the middle. It is satisfying to rack the bolt there. Very fun blaster. Especially when you then pull the trigger and it hits the target right in the middle. And that was our last shot. That is 15 shots done. Take it inside, show you how we did. I reckon it did pretty bloody impressive.
Okay guys, please firstly appreciate just how well I zeroed the sight there on the angled Picatinny rail. And from 30 meters or 100 feet away, Pyretusk paired with Saber T-darts shot a spread of only 26 centimeters or 10 inches in size. It is a little narrower than that in the width. This spread falls well within a human torso. In fact, it's almost all headshots, aside from some painful neck shots there. These are very impressive accuracy results, worthy of a blaster that looks and feels like a Nerf Sniper. After the accuracy test, I then got to play against real people. Here's what I thought of the Py Tusk after all of that. I must say, it was very satisfying to use. The bolt action, the looks, the ergonomics, it makes you feel like a Nerf Sniper.
Oh, I got him.
The proprietary mags were the only real letdown for me. 10 shots was a bit limiting, and I found myself reloading mags from a belt pouch of darts at times when I went dry, and hadn't died yet to go reload properly at my team's respawn. But I also only had 2 10-round mags and 2 5-round mags, for a total of 30 shots. I think from a practical standpoint, bolt actions like the Worker Kunlun with a straight pull bolt, or the Smiley if you want a true rotary bolt like this one, I think those two options are much more user-friendly, purely due to the Worker Talon and Angled Talon mag compatibility. However, if you are more of a LARPer or milsimmer, the Py Tusk here is going to 100% give you a more true-to-life user experience, which I know a lot of you are craving in a Nerf blaster. Well, there's finally a great option for you, and this is it. The Py Tusk will be releasing around the mid to end of May, and you'll find it at Phantom Toys here in Australia, who also ship worldwide. Also, if you want to check out any of the other blasters I've mentioned, like the Kunlun, Brontusk, or Smiley, I'll put links to those all down below as well. That's all I have for you guys today. Like, comment, subscribe, or ask questions down below. Here's 2 other videos you might enjoy. And as always, thank you very much for watching. See ya.